Hey everyone, I welcome you all to this new module. So, in this module, we are going to now learn about the basics of problem solving. Now, in this course, since we are starting from complete scratch and making sure that we are able to teach you everything from basics to advanced, it is very important to understand about problem solving. Going forward, we will be learning about lots of data structures and algorithm. The final aim of them will be to assist you in solving any particular problem. Now to start with the problem solving, let us first understand on what flowcharts are. So flowchart, as we can see on our screen, is a graphical representation of any process, system or an algorithm. Just like we have some process or let's say system which we follow in our life, maybe it can be that simple as waking up in the morning. We first maybe brush our teeth, then depending on what time is it, maybe we can go out for a run. It is all dependent on some particular condition and things are happening one after the another in a flow, right? So that's the basic idea behind flowchart, to make sure that our problem we can express in a graphical representation which is understandable by everyone. So it uses symbols and arrow to show the sequence of steps needed to complete a task. Okay, flowchart are useful in visualizing how to solve a problem and make the process easier to follow. The biggest advantage of flowchart, which I feel, is that it is actually understood by each and everyone, right? So if you're solving some complex problem, maybe the target audience is, let's say, someone who don't know anything about programming, they will also be able to understand the flow of a flowchart. It is that basics. I have myself used flowchart to explain complex algorithm or any particular complex process many times in my companies as well. So when I worked at Goldman Sachs or Mintical, there I used to make these flowchart to explain if I've done anything and make sure each and everyone, okay, is able to understand the same. So now let us learn about the components of our flowchart. So talking about the components, the first one is the terminal. It is the start and the stop of our flowchart. Just like our day starts when we get up, right? When we wake up, that is when we will put a terminal. Okay, so for the start. Similarly, when we end our day, right? That is also somewhere we are going to put a terminal, that is stop. The next is taking the input and the output. Now, many problems require you to take an input and show the output as well. Okay, so in those cases, this is the kind of a box which we should make so as to explain visually to anyone that hey, I am expecting an out input here, or this is something which I want to show. Next one is the process box. Again, very important. Any process which you are doing, any activity, that is something which comes under this process box. So if in programming you are adding to number, you are dividing them, or overall any other process, this process box is where what you want to use. Moving forward, we have the decision box. We have learned about the conditionals, namely the if and the else statement. Decision box is what is used to explain or to use that particular thing in my flowchart. In decision box, we do something if, let's say, something is true, and we do the other thing if that thing is false. Okay, so we are going to see the same in the example as well. Then next is arrow, again, to connect each and every of my component. It is of utmost important. And the last one is the connector. Now I will be just showing you an example and giving you a question so that you can brush up your skills. It is very important to know these basics. If and when required, you can of course dive deep into flowchart. But I believe that once the basics are clear, it is almost self-explanatory because we have been using these things on and off in every aspect of life. Okay, great everyone. So now let us move to a question. The question says create a flowchart to display maximum of two numbers. So let us start with this everyone. Talking about the maximum, what exactly are we required to do? First and foremost, let us create the start box. So this signifies that my process has started. Once I have the start box, then I have to display maximum of two numbers. That means I will have to take the input of these numbers as well, right? So let me create an arrow and then 1 minute. Yeah. So we are going to have a input box, right? So let us draw a parallelogram in that way. Great. So this is one input box, everyone. Let me just remove the extra edges. Here I can take the input. So here I can say that, hey, input num1. Okay. Next, moving forward, I can just define same overall box, right, everyone? So same box just for the input 2 as well. So let me copy this and let us just have it after this particular box, where this time I'm going to take the input of my second number. So let us just make it nicely. Yeah. So here I can ask for input of number 2, right? Once I have both the inputs, I have to now take a decision. The decision is, if num1 is bigger, then I have to showcase that. If num2 is bigger, then I have to showcase that. Okay, great. So let us draw a overall decision box, everyone. This is my decision box. I have joined this, and let's say this particular place we are going. So let me draw it again. We are going this path if the condition, whichever I'm saying, is going to be true here, and I am going the other way around, which is this particular direction, if the condition is false. Now let us write down the condition. So the condition can be if number 1 greater than number 2, right? Now we know that if 1 is greater than 2, let me write it down as 1 greater than 2, because of less space. So yeah, 1 greater than 2. If it is true, then what we have to do, everyone, we have to just showcase the overall first number. Okay, so again, copying this particular box, we will draw the line, should be fine. And let us copy here as well, because this is some output again which I have to showcase, right? So let us just draw this. Similarly, let us draw this as well, everyone. And instead of input, I just have to make sure that I am able to display this particular number, right? So if 1 is greater, then I will have to show num1. If 2 is greater, then number 2. This particular decision box is helping me take that decision. If true, I will go here. If false, I will go here, right? So let us redraw the arrows just. So that's the first arrow, everyone. And this is the second arrow, right? Great. Now, once I have the display done, ideally I'm done with everything. Now we should create a connector. Let's join this connector. So once we have joined everything, finally, I can just end my overall flow, right? So this is how we are going to create a flowchart. Stop. Just have to make sure that we are using the correct components and doing the basic overall all the process in these flowchart. Now they can be a lot complex as well, right? They can be at a level where any complex problem can also be solved using a flowchart. So we can draw the flowchart for complexest of the problem. That is not a problem. Now, what I want all of you to do now is, you have got the basic idea of this. We already have done lots about the Python. So once we have understood all these things, what I want to do now is to create this flowchart where you will be adding two numbers. So you have to create a flowchart to add two numbers. Again, the overall idea is going to be a lot same. We will start by taking the input. We will start by taking the second input. Here the process box will come into picture because adding is some process, right? Once you have added the same, we just have to display that out using the input or output box and then stop our flow. So no decision is going to be there. That is how we can normally use flowchart. something you should have a good idea about while starting your journey about the problem solving. Okay. So great everyone. Now let us meet in the next video.